Hello everyone, it's another Wednesday and you're welcome to the Enoch Command Audio Experience. My name is Enoch and I'm your host as usual. Today I'm going to be talking about the new year and I'm going to be making my comments on how you can make the best of the new year 2020. Now just a brief about what I previously have been through. Over the years, I've read lots of books and consumed other articles, videos and workbooks on self-development. I've come up with a conclusion on what it takes to improve. I mean, this is a conclusion I've made from lots of years of going through materials and even researching and writing myself. So the mindset aspect is usually so crucial to becoming a massive success. Therefore, knowledge is something you can't ignore as someone who wants to improve. Hungry people never get satisfied. I mean, if you are hungry, you may do something and it makes you feel successful, but it doesn't get your head to stop you from achieving more, doing more, and being hungry for even greater things. Does it surprise you that even people like Bill Gates, Warren Buffett, and co, who seem to have more knowledge, more wealth, they are healthy, seem to chase more and more knowledge? Does it ever surprise you that because these people have realized that they have to keep developing their mindsets? When they stop developing their mindsets, they begin to die from then. You can check Gate Notes where Bill Gates shares the books he's reading and content that he's consuming at a particular time. Having knowledge is potential profit, as Jim Quick puts it, but knowledge isn't an end in itself. It is a means to an end. Have you ever seen someone you thought as a dumb person and they go on to achieve success? Sometimes if you're thinking back to basic school, you probably see that some of your friends right now, they were as bright as you thought them to be. They're probably the 31st person in the class out of about 40 people, which means they were just below the middle mark. So these people, you grow up and you see that they're making meaningful things of their lives, and you start to wonder, is it that, how is this even possible? That's where you start to ask yourself. You see, another question you might ask yourself is, does it strike you that a lot of successful people were considered mentally incapable? You can check the story of most of these successful people. I would like to state Les Brown as a very good example of this. I consider him the greatest motivational speaker of all time. He has impacted me so greatly. The time I started getting a whole lot of interest in self-development, he was the one I used to listen to almost all the time, watch his videos. I became almost obsessed with the guy. Now, knowledge and intelligence are just one aspect of the success equation. This is why sometimes people that don't really do well in school, that's just considering the retention aspect of knowledge and intelligence. Intelligence is often considered as just the school kind of intelligence, but there are different intelligences, and it's actually a very dicey thing. School and the education system is designed to assess the ability to recall facts and theories. Some are good at that kind of knowledge, while others aren't. That's a flaw in the education system, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't go to school. There are so many people who don't have the opportunity to go to school, and it's greatly affecting their life. So please, the fact that you are in school and you think that it's not good, please, it's not a good thing. Think it through and just make the good use of school. Being in school is not just about getting good grades and all of those things that seem important right now. Something like networking, getting to know people, acquiring skills with the free time education or the school system provides you is something you can leverage on. So just being in school, it doesn't just mean that, hey, just try to get the grades, or just, I hope you get what I mean. So the other variable to achieving success, which is the second trait, may take time to develop. Just like the mindset, you may consume a whole lot of information, but there are some certain core things that if you are not able to change in your life, having knowledge will not be able to help you. And it has to do with the ability to take gut decisions in split seconds and moving straight to action without allowing excuses and fear to come into play. You may call it courage. That would be a good word to describe it. Another word may be the desire to defy the odds. There are some people, once people say they can't do something, that's what they are going to do. Once their mind says they can't do it, that's what they are going to do. These are people who are wired to defy the odds. Sometimes you ask yourself what drives someone like Elon Musk. He doesn't allow the odds to stop him. If you look at the projects and businesses he's running, something like SpaceX. Apart from NASA, who else does space exploration? As at now, SpaceX is no longer doing active space exploration. It's all been moved to SpaceX. So this guy, he's trying to colonize Mars and make sure that he gets humans to go to Mars. This is the kind of person who thinks in terms of the future, mostly things that nobody has ever done before. Even if people have done it, it's a very huge team of people powered by a government, but he's just an individual and he's always achieving these things. One of the recent projects that he started, Hyperloop, creating an underground tunnel for cars. Just imagine this. This is very futuristic, and this guy, she's not frightened by the fact that nobody has done this before, the fact that it's difficult, the fact that it will take money. On countless times, this guy has put all his money into a business that if he failed, he would have to file for bankruptcy. So you see, some people have little knowledge but have all the guts and courage to do what they think should be their next move. Such people, if good at pattern recognition, now pattern recognition is something that we use to make decisions, oftentimes called intuition. So such people who are able to take good note of patterns can soon learn from experience. But personally, I'd like to learn from others and save myself the foreseeable mistakes. There are most people who talk about fail forward, and the faster you fail, the faster you succeed. As much as these statements are true, I like to read books, watch videos, do research, and learn so that I don't have to commit some of the very basic mistakes. Sometimes your courage may be killed initially by just some of these early mistakes that you make. For instance, if you are trying to start a business, you may face a few shortfalls. At the beginning of the business, maybe you are facing rejection, you are not getting as many clients as you expect, you are not making money as quick as you expect. The truth is that building a business takes time. Rejection is normal. Even the smartest closers and the smartest salespeople still get rejections. So if you are not wired with this kind of mentality and you go into a business, you may be forced to quit the business prematurely. And it's not because you are bad, not got the right things put in place, your idea is not working or something. It's just because you've not been pre-wired, you don't have the knowledge, you don't have the experience beforehand. So please, it's better to usually do your research before you go into something. Because you learn from failure, but if you can prevent the failure, why don't you just prevent it instead of allowing it to happen? So please, it takes courage to go ahead and do things that sometimes you don't have a full vision of. So you are starting a business, you don't know whether next year the business will still be running or not, but you can go in. What you can do is just make sure that you have first 3 months plan or your first 6 months plan, and that's your action plan. You don't need to know what will happen in the next 2-3 years. Just take the first few steps and continue. Courage simply boils to the ability to act on knowledge atom. Now this atom is just the ability to act on knowledge. That's all. Action isn't something that comes naturally. We are able to convince ourselves against certain actions within seconds. It takes strong mindsets to set aside the rationalization of everything and why it isn't possible and moving straight to action. So sometimes you may be trying to do something and it feels like rationally it's not possible. I've previously made this statement that everything doesn't have to make sense, and sometimes it takes just faith. Sometimes you just can't see ahead. You are not God. You can't see what is going to happen in the next second. You can't see what is going to happen in the next 3 hours. What you can do is to control your actions, and that's all you can do. And at that particular moment, what you can do is to stop rationalizing, have faith, believe in yourself, and move straight to action. I want to take a detour and touch on habits. And habits are your savior to acting courageously. As humans, we can rewire our brains through our thoughts and the patterns we create by continuous and constant thinking. Thinking a particular thought all of the time may further enforce it in your mind. There are some people, when they're about to do something, they just say some things to themselves. Maybe you got this, you got this, you got this, you got this, you can do this, you can do this. Before you realize, they are beginning to burn down the rationalization and to start thinking that, okay, they can do it, they can do it. So you see, sometimes you want to wake up early. It's difficult at first, but later it becomes very easy to do it as you wake up more and more often. When the habit locks in, it becomes second behavior to you. You immediately wake up once the time is up. If the time you set for yourself is at 5 a.m., immediately it gets up to 5 a.m., you'll be up. Your brain will tell you that it's 5 because you've been doing it for lots and lots and lots of time. Usually it takes about 3 months to lock such a habit into your mind. But once you get past this initial effort, it becomes second nature to you. You're able to do it easily. And Eric Thomas is one of the people who is popular in championing this kind of thinking. He usually puts it this way. He says his passion wakes him getting up. He doesn't need an alarm. He says he's not waking up later than he wants, and usually he does without an alarm. You can imagine the kind of time it took for him to build this kind of habit. You see, this podcast is actually very short, and I've been able to talk about the 2 key things that it will take for you to succeed this year. It's going to take a mindset shift, and it's going to take courage. These 2 things are not the only things that it takes to become successful. There are other things like being focused, being productive, and doing a whole lot of other things that will help you to become successful, like having goals as well. I'm stating these things because these 2 key things, because the fact is that if you don't have the right mindset and you don't have the courage to follow on that mindset, the truth is that you are likely not going to do much. Sometimes you may have a little bit of the mindset. You know that you're supposed to set goals, you're supposed to do plans, and some people actually go ahead, they write down the goals, they have a plan to achieve it, they start working on it, and a week or a month later they realize that they fall into their old habits. They stop following through and on plan, they start making excuses. This is because they don't have the courage, and because they haven't had the courage to follow through for a certain time in the new year or whatever period they've set for themselves to achieve those goals, they start to lose confidence and their courage goes down. Now, once this happens, they start to fall back to their old habits, and their mind is taking them back to the old habits that are they are well trained to perform. So as and when these things happen, they are most likely to happen. Just try to snap out of them. Try to focus on what you actually want to do and not what you don't want to do. Try to build new habits. You can read books, make other research on these topics, but whatever you do, just make sure that you need to build your confidence, your courage, and you need to build your mindset. So these are my official words for you for the new year. I hope you do make the best of it, and let's go rock 2020.